Lies on Gray Velvet.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Horror Italiano, where we take you on a tour through Italian horror cinema. If this is your first view, I am Joe, or as Ricky likes to call me, Joe the psychologist, and this is my beer brother, Ricky. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's Horror Italiano. You know this is my favorite show, so I love
Same.
this series, man. It's just a great time. You don't know how much I hate when I'm fucking bored, right? Looking through movies and I come across an Italian film, I'm like, oh, Joe has this on the schedule. I cannot watch it right now. I have to wait. Oh man, because yo, honestly, Italian films was never my jam. Not because I didn't like them, but it's just I wasn't raised on them. But after doing this show and discovering all the Argento's, the Bavas, it's just Fulci, the style. It's some of my favorite filmmaking, not just horror. Period, bro.
This movie, I'm gonna say, I'm pretty fucking excited to talk about. This is Argento's third film, and there's just something that I found that I really loved about this one. And I am so excited to talk about it. This movie is about Roberto. He's a drummer who's been noticing this creepy guy with glasses is following him. And then he decides he's going to follow him. And upon following him, gets into a scuffle with the guy and kills him, goes home, because he noticed that someone's taking pictures of him, and he takes off and keeps it a secret. And, the first thing I thought about as the movie starts is like, well, that's kind of a weird decision to make. Like, because you could have, been telling people or reported it. This guy had been following you and then he tried to attack you. But he goes and basically tries to live his normal life. And I just for a second, as I'm watching, I mean, what would you have done in that situation? I'm curious because
We gotta phrase it this way because we can't look at this film through the lens of 2026 because now obviously there's cameras everywhere, so you could just go to the police. Look at the scuffle. He was following me. I confronted him, and boom, 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 boom. And that day and age, in 1971, there wasn't no such thing. I mean, I think this is around the same time that DB Cooper disappeared. There was no forensics back in the
all
day like
right,
that,
all
so.
right.
So I could see him going home and he's rattled. He is like conflicted. He's confused. Like he's freaking losing his mind. Not just that, because just recently his boy Merkel told him this story about executions in Saudi Arabia that just weirdly enough still happens to this fucking day. And this was
Yeah.
just 71. But yeah, I don't what I would have done is all right, this question is in two parts for me. Now, I would have did what he did. I would have went home, but I would have been shook. I would have been like, oh my god, like just to gather my thoughts, collect my bearings. What do I do? If this happened now, of course I would, or no, if once he started getting threatened by this other character that took pictures, that was there, that knows, and once the murders started, once the bodies started dropping, I would have went to the police because I would do not want to live in this world of in constant fear and paranoia. Like you just be even like just like his wife said in this movie, this motherfucker is coming and going as he pleases from your own home, bro. And he stole my cat. You steal my cat, bro. That's the line. That's the line I draw right there. You know what I'm saying? So I probably would have went to the police. Now he said I face 15 years. And then later on he says I could be in jail for life. Living in that constant paranoia that you don't want to leave the house. It sucks. So I would have probably, you know what? Just like God said in this movie, just explain to the police. They might understand, they might not, but at least you got your story out and you're not looking over your back constantly. I mean, come on, man. This guy's friends and acquaintances are dropping like flies around him, man. What would you do?
Well, see, you brought up a good point on the fact that, there was no cameras like they are now. But I think I would have stayed only because this guy had been following me. And if he had called the police and kept over the body, the movie would have been over
Yeah, good shout. That's a
because they would have found out that he was alive instead of fabricating the stories. Because by them not doing that, you now got this movie.
you just broke this whole
So,
thing wide open, bro. The
yes,
movie's you're right. You're
the movie
right.
would have been over. But here's the thing. I'm glad the movie wasn't over and he didn't make
Roberto
that
fucked up.
decision. It was at this point, I fucking love the characters in this movie. I fucking love. I messaged you at one point. I'm like, you're gonna love Gianni. I considering it was 1971. I give props for Dario giving a gay character such a big part in the movie. I thought as soon as they saw him, and I'm like, oh no, this guy's gonna be. But when he sat there, he goes, "What? Just because I'm gay, you think I can't be a private investigator?"
No, he said because he's a fairy.
Yeah, I can't be a private investigator. There's only one thing that makes us different. You know that, right? I'm like mind blown that that line would be delivered in
especially
1971.
that early. Yeah,
Yes,
and
because I say that all the time.
And when he said to Roberto, "What? Have you ever had a homosexual experience?" Roberto's like, "All right, I'm out. All right, man. We're
Yeah.
done." He's like, "No, listen. And then comes the line that you said, like, there's only one thing that
Yeah.
separates us, and that was
And
pretty good. Yeah.
like the movie, there, and I'm sure I just want to hit on Gianni, but I'm sure that as you were watching it, because unfortunately some of these characters we get introduced become our victims in here. But I love that. I think his record was 83. And then the guy's like, what? He goes, oh yeah, 0 to 83. I haven't solved one crime yet. He goes, but you're always gonna get that one. And in some of the other Argento movies, we have unfortunately, and there's more for us to see, but in the ones we've seen so far, whether you're a psychic, someone who's getting close, those people never make it. And like I felt like his death was actually kind of like as sad as it was, because his last thought was, I finally solved one. He knew he solved one, so that was like a good closure for him to
His
have.
own personal closure. His story
Yes.
came full circle. That was great.
God. What'd you think of God?
I loved him.
I knew you
would.
would.
Fascinating because before we get to God, the actor who played Gianni, it was his idea to make the character gay. It wasn't originally a gay character. It was his idea. And
Nice.
Argento's like, all right, yeah, it's cool. It gives him a lot of. He's flamboyant, very charismatic. You can't take your eyes off this guy because he's always doing something, whether it's his mannerisms or just his inflections. He's just a great character to add to the film because he adds levity. And then there's all, like you mentioned, the comedy was great because even like the mailman, the little gag with the mailman and stuff, that was all great. And the character of God, he was God, and as soon as he mentions God, and you hear the Hallelujah, the music, and then we find out his name is Godfrey, so God, that's why they call him God, and that actor too was in a lot of Italian westerns, and he was a good friend of Argento, and he did this role for free because he wanted to be in this movie to help out his boy Argento. So
Nice.
he was like, well, just don't use my likeness for the promotion because, I don't know why he would say that, but he did it for free. He's like, yeah, I will appear in the film, and he chewed up a lot of scenery. Like when he agreed to meet up at that random weird convention with the
coffins.
with the coffin. He's like, what was his reasoning for that? Because like the people who fear won't come. I don't know what it was, but it was like it did make sense when I saw it.
Well, the people they deal with would not want to go into a place like that.
There you go. And touching on the characters, another character I really enjoyed was the professor. If you looked at him during this scene, him just in the background, he kept stealing shit.
Yeah.
When he asked that one guy for the cigarette, if he could light the cigarette, he switched the cigarettes. Once I seen it again, and keep an eye on if you have it. Keep an eye on him in the background. He's always some kind of movement. There's always something going on with that character. So yeah, this movie was full of a lot of eccentric characters, man. I dug that.
And that's what I like. I mean, because we've seen a couple of them. I mean, Dario gets a little bit more serious in some of his other movies.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this one, it would still, people were being murdered, but the characters, when when he goes, God, and like, as you said, the music comes on. I sat there and I'm like, okay, am I supposed to take this movie serious right now? Because I
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of feel like it's turning into it's going to be comical. And he goes, it's Godfrey. But if you're going to call me God Almighty.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, dude, like, okay, this movie's going to be kind of weird. And, you
Yeah.
got Gianni and then, what's the name of the cousin? Dahlia?
Dahlia, yeah. That was
Dahlia.
whose cousin? That was her cousin, I'm
It
assuming,
was
right?
her cousin.
Yeah.
And it's funny because as Gianni, at one point, as he's figuring out, he goes, it's probably a red herring. What I had loved was this
Mhm.
movie was riddled with red herrings, and
Yeah.
to have a character
Just say
call
it.
out red herring to like let you know, because as you're watching, you're trying to figure out who's the killer. And
Yeah.
I will say that while you're getting your clues off the bat, so what I did, and I started doing this a lot with, I've been watching the series Industry. It's British, but I want sometimes when you have it on regular TV, you want to hear things better. So I've now put a tablet on and put my earbud in, watch the screen. It's synced, so I don't have no echo. And when I did it for this one, and the killer, when it wrapped the noose or the wire around Roberto and spoke, you knew it was a woman.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell it was a woman by the voice.
Yes,
I thought it was gonna be Dahlia, and then
red herring.
at one point with I forgot his name, but the character with the mustache, he was always telling stories because he was a writer. He had mentioned that this other character, Maria, was in love with Roberto, and I'm like, wait a minute, who the fuck is Maria? Is it gonna be Maria? Who's Maria? Wait, did I miss this character? Who is that? Is it her? Because I already knew, just like you said, it's a woman. That's why I said either Maria or Dali. I only even thought I all right. I'll table this for the end. I'll wait for that. But yeah, you're right. You could tell immediately it wasn't gonna be a male, even though when the character of Carlo was killed, the hands that was you could tell it was a man's hands. He
It was
had
the man's
hairy
hands.
knuckles. Yeah, but that was a mistake though. That was probably a production flood. But yeah,
But that's why. So when we get the reveal of the killer, um, was on my radar all along. However, with introducing Dahlia, the red herring, and I think when Gianni was looking through the information, he thought Dahlia also, and I think that's when he goes red herring, because when the killer comes after her, that's when you realize she's not the red herring after.
yeah.
Oh, she was the red. I'm sorry.
But
You
it's
realize she
strange
was the red
because
herring.
when they're showing her, this is the only thing I didn't like because unless I understood it incorrectly. They're showing Dahlia, but you're hearing the voiceovers that's meant for the actual killer.
Okay.
But they're playing it like if it's going through her head. But you know what I'm saying? So why would
Here's
we yeah.
here's where I was thinking that when Dahlia slept with Roberto, she said her and Nina, they tell each other everything. So that would mean that Dahlia would have known all the torment and torture that Nina had gone through. So the way that Dario, instead of us hearing Nina tell the story to Dahlia of what the father had done,
Yeah.
he and then put the memories of what because the
Mm.
movie was supposed to be
Yeah.
riddled with red herrings.
Yeah.
So because I'm like, so it was her, but then it turns to she's now being stalked, and then I'm like, she knows what happened to her when she was younger. They're very close. She must have
Mm.
shared. She knows her secret, her past, and that's when she goes, "Oh shit," because she herself figured out who it was. So I mean I knew who it was. Dahlia kind of threw me off a little bit. The same thing you said. When she's hearing the
Mhm.
voices, why would she hear it?
Yeah, so that's when I was saying, "Oh, wait a minute. This is the killer." But then when she was getting stalked, I'm like, "Wait a minute, no." Oh, during that scene too, at one point I thought to myself, is this gonna be a transgender villain? Because they kept talking about,
Hospital and
the hospital, but oh, I wanted you to be a man, and you came out to be, this like weak or whatever. I'm like, oh, and they kept showing the women, and they kept saying it was a he, a he, a he, but the voice is a woman, so we knew that already. If you're knowledgeable, not even knowledgeable, if you're just familiar with how these movies go, and you hear that voice, like, okay, they're not using a voice recorder. You could tell it's somebody like a female trying to make her voice deeper. You
Yeah.
know, it was a nice touch. It was natural. It wasn't like a voice recorder or nothing like that.
no, because you can still tell
Yeah.
it was a woman.
So I thought they were going on that route, especially I know Argento, he loves putting these like whether it's a gay character or a drag queen. We saw that in the Bird with the Crystal Plumage, with the transvestite,
Yeah.
that character, and we've seen it in other films as well that he has done. So he's not afraid to go there, especially in 71. Actually, he had cast. There was a transgender actor that played in Deep Red. So he's not. They're not afraid to go there. At least
No.
And keep in mind, this is the 70s.
70s.
That shit was a little bit more taboo than what it is now. So I thought they were heading in that direction, but once they offed Adalia, then the gloves came off. All right, damn, who else can it be? And I won't lie, I didn't. I'm not gonna say, oh, I forgot about the killer, but it went through my mind because you always gotta question whether it's the husband or the wife. All right, is it gonna be somebody that's close to the character? At one point, I was thinking to myself, God, I hope they're not gonna go the route that it's Roberto the whole time. He's going crazy. I'm like, no, I hope not. But that wouldn't make any sense, judging by how the film was progressing, man. So that's cool.
Once the killer is revealed, like, was it a big shock to you? Because the other part
Yeah.
is the interesting was her motive for doing all this was the interesting part I found.
Yeah, see, that's what I did not like the motive because I just usually Roberto. All right, we're gonna say it right now if you haven't seen it yet. The killer ended up being his wife. What was her name again?
Nina.
Kim? Nina. It's Kim. Where the fuck I get that from? Nina. Once it was revealed it was her, it wasn't shocking because at that point in the film there was no one else that it could have been. Unless it was Roberto himself. Everyone else, all the other suspects were killed except for Mirko. I thought there was a chance it was Mirko, and honestly, there was also a chance that I thought it was the mailman because I was like, how, like the irony of the fact that like Roberto had him in his grasp, he was beating the shit out of him, but he let him go because he found him as a meek mailman. You know what I mean? So those two names ran through my mind as well. But when it was revealed to be Nina, and then she said, again, she used Roberto as a proxy because her dad abused her because that was her stepdad, and he wanted a boy, but he ended up getting a female in the process. So he made her dress up like a boy. Honestly, I don't know, the version I saw was on YouTube when Nina was telling
the
her
story.
It went between Italian. Okay, so that was you too.
Same thing. Same thing. When I'm like, he's probably gonna find a different version. But yes, when she gave resitting it went.
I'm like,
however,
wait.
you could have made some words out. Is the thing though, and this is why I said if you would have had it, like if you would have been watching with the earpiece on and heard some of the words, because it was revenge, and when she was the Italian part, she was speaking the revenge.
But it's but not just that though. Personally, I caught not the worst, but a very bad cramp in my fucking leg. Oh my God, I had to get up, walk around. I'm trying to watch, like, oh my God, it's her. Why now? God dang it, why not? That shit was painful. But yeah, the fact that her dad passes away while she's locked up in a sanitarium, and that cures her, but she never got to extract her own revenge. So she meets this guy that looks like her stepdad, resembles her stepdad, and she marries this guy. We don't know how long they were together for. She has money. He clearly doesn't. He's in a band, but you know how it is. If you're not on the top of the charts, or if you're not established, you're not making bread because you're still trying to get yourself. You're still trying to get your feet wet. So, and they gave us plenty of clues that he has no money, she has the money. So how long were they together for, and why all of a sudden she wanted to do this now? She hires this guy Carlo to become he was
Stalker.
part of Yeah, he hired him to play a stalker, to stalk him, and to fake this accidental killing. But then when he decides, no, no, you're fucking killing cats and people now. I'm out. He kills him, and I'm like, so all this, like, I don't know. I'll be honest. The only flub, in my opinion, 'cause I really love this movie. It was a lot of fun, and I was invested the entire time. But the explanation, I was like, it ran a little hollow to me. How did you say you liked it? So
So
explain.
I think because we didn't get you didn't hear the full correct translation. I
Could
was
yeah, yeah,
hoping
yeah.
that you were gonna get it because I
No.
didn't, and I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to go in and going, well, now I'm gonna watch this movie. It's gonna get to this part, and I'm like, so I didn't want to ruin your experience by
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
it, so I kept that from you. Then when you were like YouTube, I'm like, okay, good. So he got a version that he got to hear the whole explanation. All of a sudden, it went to Italian. I'm like, well, fuck,
Yeah.
because like I said, I had the earpiece on and my earbud. I think earpiece like an old man. My earbud in, and I can make out some of what she was saying. And for me, the psychologist part is somebody who, yes, all the trauma that she had gone through, unnecessary trauma, as you said, had been probably beaten a lot, tortured by the dad, put in a mental hospital after he put her mother in a mental hospital. So her mother died in a mental hospital, got left with him, who then he wanted a boy, tortures her, puts her in a mental hospital, repeating what he did to her mother, and dies. So, she's like, oh, she can't get her revenge. So she saw someone that looked just like him, and her psychosis triggered and her
Mm,
plan came in,
yeah.
which was, all right, well, I couldn't do this to him, so now I'm going to do it to you. Where I actually think it's not you know, going that route, it's not a bad as for your
No,
storyline.
it's not. It's
The thing
just
is, killing other people is where, like, it would be different if she was just fucking with him.
but
You know what I
she
mean?
killed those people because they know who she was, one, or they figured out who she was.
Yes, she should. If she was going to exact her revenge, she should have just done her revenge.
Yeah.
But the way that she went about it, she created her own problem.
Yeah, like let's go through the victims real quick. Amelia, the maid. She saw Nina through the window,
Yep.
tried to blackmail her. She said, I don't care about the killing, I just want to get paid. She gets off. Carlo already knew who she was because they're working together, and he decided to, nope, let's end this partnership. He got off. And of course, Gianni, our guy, he figured it out. Again, a nice full circle moment. They gave his character, who got introduced
Yes.
pretty late in the film, had his own little story arc that had a beginning and an ending, and it was great. Dahlia, obviously, because I mean,
I
wrong
think the
place, wrong
history.
time.
Well, I think the history also, from what I'm gonna surmise, is that Dahlia and Roberto were together once, and then he met Nina, so he left Dahlia to be with
Oh,
Nina.
and then she found out she was sleeping with him again.
Well, Nina could have invited Dahlia back to the
Yeah,
house,
yeah,
because remember
just
when she
for
said,
revenge.
Dahlia's coming. Well, it could have been part of the plan to maybe set up, Dahlia, but
Yeah,
then Dahlia
maybe.
starts figuring it out. So yes, I mean, it is like I said in the Argento movies so far. What tracks is
Well,
anybody who's figuring it out, it's gonna fucking
yeah.
die.
And that's exactly what our guy God had mentioned to him. It's someone with deep paranoia, like you mentioned,
Yep.
psychosis. He didn't use that word, but that's exactly what he
Yeah.
was implying. And people are getting too close. Let me ask you: was there your version? We saw two different versions or two different platforms. Could be the same version. Was there any nudity in yours?
Yeah. You didn't have nudity?
No, no nudity.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What
I
you
mean,
saw?
it's 70s. It's
Because I
70s stuff.
saw, yeah, because when because I do the artwork for the channel and all this. I'm looking for pictures and shit, and I saw a picture of, nudity. I'm like, wait a minute, this is not. Did they cut this out? Wait a minute, this movie,
Yeah.
because
So
it's a lot
because
of the version I saw had a lot of weird editing flaws. And again,
did you
this
get
have
did it go from looking like an older movie to an even older movie and then come back?
no, I didn't see. Oh, I
Mine
could have,
had
but I
that.
didn't notice that.
No,
I just
mine
saw
the
weird
picture
weird
quality
cuts,
changed.
like the scene when Roberto he was gonna go grab the wallet from the desk and it was missing, and he's looking down. All of a sudden, you see this weird abrupt cut, and he's like, and he's over here now, like it's like, oh, that happened. Remember, I told you in the bird with the crystal plumage, where all of a sudden the sound just randomly just cuts out while one of the characters is getting killed. So I'm like, oh man, like this again.
It's early
That's another thing with
on.
this Italian horror films, and Lucio Fulci is notorious for sloppy like editing and like compositions. I love Lucio Fulci, but yes, they are very sloppy with transitions and editing, and it sucks when it bleeds towards Argento because I see him more as an artiste as far as
He
being
gets
very
there though.
like anal about his production, you know. But
Meticulous.
it happened. Meticulous.
You know, we love our big words. When you and I, that's the one thing, you and I pop out like big words out of anywhere.
Yeah.
But no, I like I said, I think what probably fucked it up for us is the at the end, however this editing was. So you basically got the PG version.
What happened was when Roberto was asked to take a bath with the bath salts. My version, it shows him really quickly in the bath, then it cuts to the next scene. So I'm assuming the nudity
Oh yeah,
was
no,
there.
she gives him a whole like
All that was missing.
yeah, she
from
rubs
my
him
version.
down.
I
and, you
want.
know,
I gotta buy
he-
this movie.
Well, it's funny because the
I
thing
need it in
is,
my collection.
he makes advances to Dahlia, and Dahlia is telling him no. It's too bad. Actually,
Oh, I
don't
missed
don't
all
interrupt.
that,
Don't
bro.
interrupt. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Don't interrupt. So she goes in there and is telling him, "You look like stressed. You look like stuff is going on." So she's genuinely, I'm taking in there to try to help him relax. So as she's giving him like she goes to grab for something and he touches her and she goes, "Stop. You know that we shouldn't be doing that." So then she starts, massaging him and he tries again. And she told him again to stop. And then eventually, as the more it kept going, you then next thing you know, you see both of them are in the bathtub together, face to face. And I'm like, oh, Dahlia, you gave in to him. And yeah, so they make out, it's a whole like
You know what? You know
like
why?
their sex scene, but yeah.
I'm sorry. You know why it was jarring in my version? Because again, it cuts to him in the bathtub just really quickly. Then it goes to
Gianni.
he's in probably Johnny. But the next time we see Roberto, he's already in bed having a nightmare. He's waking up, and then she's in the bed with him. Like, what the fuck? They
Oh
slept?
shit. No,
So-
they cut. So no. Well, then hold on. So you got to rewatch it. Go ahead, watch it. I think I told you it was on. You didn't want to do it because of commercials. I don't blame you. I used it to do the notes.
No, I had commercials on YouTube, man. I don't have Plex.
So after Plex. After they have sex, Gianni shows up to his apartment and he starts to give him like addresses and all this information. And Dahlia comes out from the back, getting dressed. And Gianni's like, well, obviously you were busy. So you didn't have that in yours either?
When Gianni comes in, this is when I told you, when the scene where he went to get the wallet and this abrupt editing, Gianni saw Dahlia and said, "Oh, the missus is here," and
that was after the bathtub scene.
Yeah, okay. So I did see that part.
Okay.
He said, "No."
Oh,
he said,
I was like,
"Oh, that's a friend." Oh, no, she's family.
Oh, I was like, shit, they really cut out some really important stuff on
You know what
YouTube
it was?
version,
Whoever uploaded it knew that YouTube would have probably took them down for nudity.
Yeah,
Even though it's weird, you
definitely.
could watch movies with nudity and it's still there. I put a clip with nudity in one of our shits, and we're gonna get taken down. It's very weird, the rules of YouTube. I don't understand. I guess it depends on the size of the channel, but even like the big channels like Dead Meat has a lot of issues with copyright. So and stuff that's too obscene when it comes to. And it's never gore. It's always the nudity, bro. Always the nudity.
I know. Well, and again, I mean,
Cool.
it's for it's the bodies back in the day. I mean,
Yeah.
They were handful. You gotta see a handful.
Right.
Before we head out, anything else you want to?
Yeah, the last thing I want to say, a couple items. I loved it. I love the cool intro to this movie. You got my man Roberto just going ham on the fucking drums and that whole musical piece. The guy in the organ. Then it got the fly. And I will say, I was wondering, because we know Argento, how the fuck does Four Flies on Gray Velvet? How is that a title for this movie? Because Argento always ties this title somehow to the movie, especially the animal ones. But then I thought it was so clever how they did it when they took the last photogenic whatever your retina saw last. It's like a photograph. It's etched
Mhm.
to your retina. It's burned there, and they did that weird test. I don't know if that's true or not, but
It is.
okay, even better. So I
I
love
didn't know it
how
was
it
around
was it
then.
was four flies. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck, four flies? I'm like, how does that even make sense? And then when my man grabs her necklace, I'm talking Roberto grabs Nina's necklace at the climax of the film before
Well, it's
she leaves.
swung, but
Yes,
he noticed it swing.
exactly. So if she's gonna hit someone and she's gonna see, it's gonna be swinging in motion. So that's what the picture saw. I wanted to point that out. I like how they integrated the title to the film
Me
to the
too, because I
reveal.
wondered
That was
myself,
that was clever. That was pretty
random
cool.
title,
Original.
random.
Very very original. It
It's
was
a
random.
when because I when I put on the schedule, you're like, what the fuck? 4 flies? I'm like, I don't know, man. I just picked random Dario movies
Oh
for us
man.
to check out.
Another character I really enjoyed was Jerkoff. I think Jerkoff was a great character. I'm glad that character was included in the movie. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
The parrot. God's parrot. Jerkoff.
That's the only thing he knows
Jerkoff.
how to say.
And I found it funny when the Amelia, the maid, she was saying help, help, and that couple was outside, like, on the other side of the barrier between her
Oh,
and
I'll jump
and
over.
he's like, I'll climb over. He's like, huh? Oh, these little jumps, like, I can't. You're on your own. Like, whatever. What the fuck? I was dying laughing. And this movie, it's weird. It had bullet time before the Matrix. Remember when they shot the bullet and it was in slow motion? It tracked the bullet shot when it went into
Yeah.
Roberto's shoulder. Bro, I'm like, that's fucking bullet time. They slowed the bullet down and the camera kind of panned and it followed the bullet and went into his shoulder. I mean, it was very primitive, but it was
yeah, but
there.
still. Damn.
And just the last thing I saw too, I noticed I read actually Ennio, the composer who did this film, he does the good, the bad, and the ugly. Tons of westerns. The Thing. He did the Bird with the Crystal Plumage. I'm assuming he probably did Argento's previous film, which we haven't covered yet, but
Coming
he
soon.
did this film, and him and Argento had a falling out because Argento didn't use certain tracks that he had produced, and this was their last film together. And guess what? After this came Goblin. This is how Goblin's collaboration with Dario started.
Ah.
So because of a falling out during this movie, that's how we got Goblin. But that's all I'm gonna say. I really enjoyed this movie. Like you mentioned, the characters to me carried this film because they're so entertaining. A lot of we don't really get like humor in these especially the Argento films, and this one it was like it's very weird at times the humor, but the fact that it was there, I like that. Like you know what? It gives the film a personality. It gives it character. It sets it apart from his other films, especially for Giallo. I dug that. So 2 thumbs up from me. I loved it.
Like I said, as I was watching it, and as soon as Gianni came in, and I'm watching, and I first I was like, oh my god, am I gonna
Gianni.
cringe on this? Is this gonna be? And then once he delivered that line, I'm like, Gianni's the man.
He got it.
And then the Godfrey again. We both mentioned it when he called him God, and the music comes on. I in some horror movies, especially the people who understand the psychology part of it, when you intersect like little funny parts like that, it resets things in your brain. And so that way it sets you up for the scary stuff because you get the little comedy, you get your, rush from the comedy. So that way when the horror is about to come, well, he just kind of took you off, like being sitting there like this.
Mhm.
You were kind of laughing at this. So I thought for again, it's 1971, it was done right. The characters, I'm hoping as we continue this story that we're going through that the other movie he does is going to have characters like this because it would suck if all his other ones, this is going to one that stands out where
It's the
you're,
outlier. Yeah.
yeah, where your supporting characters were so strong and memorable like Godfrey and Gianni for right now,
And the
since we've been
professor
doing
too,
the
bro.
professor, actually,
And the
you're right, the professor.
too,
He
bro.
reminded me of the Mad Hatter, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's the Mad Hatter, and then he can
He's
quote,
like, he's a bum or something, I think. I don't know.
and,
He just
well, he quote like Bible verses, like
he was like, yo,
anything
let me
and
get some of
over.
that fish, bro. Let me get some of that fish. Would you eat that fish, Joe?
Uh-uh.
Hold on. One thing we didn't talk about real quick before we end this. Nina's death. What did you think about how she just drove off and got into the accident?
Well, I thought it was because remember, all along the nightmare he kept having was all leading to the head getting chopped off.
Yeah. Oh.
So by the car coming at the level you're at, her head flew off.
You just blew my mind.
Yes, which is why, and I sat there
Hold
because
on.
when she's going, I was
That's
like,
for you, brother.
I'll take one with you.
How did I not put that correlation together?
Yeah, because it was at that.
Right.
I'm sitting there.
You're
He's having this nightmare.
Premonition.
Premonition.
They said that.
And it ends up being her. I thought, and by the way, I actually also loved how that was shot.
The way they slowed it down.
They slowed it down. Granted, yes, it's obviously was stuck like this, and they worked on the glass fragments.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, we're talking about 1971. I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, oh, bitch is about to lose her head.
It
and then all of a sudden you see the head going on.
It took balls to end the movie with a freeze frame of the action. I'd say, like, wait, that's all. That's how I'm gonna end it. Fuck.
I thought.
Okay, what? I loved it.
At this point, basically, Roberto's only got Godfrey. Everybody else in his life is all gone.
Yo,
but
chill, the professor too, man. Chill.
He's gonna probably
That was the guy watching over his house.
But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed this one.
Yeah,
I'm really glad. I'm glad
that
you saw the same thing that I saw.
This is why I love this show, bro.
Me too. This is gonna stand as the outlier. It's funny because any of the ones that are, except for the ones that go for that we read, obviously they're going for the true comedy.
Yeah,
this is an outlier
really but
well, I mean, it's a slasher. It's from it's one of the early ones, thriller
mystery,
which is still is a sub genre.
It is a sub genre, absolutely.
But yes, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us on this tour through Italian horror cinema. Make sure to hit subscribe, hit the notifications so when you know these episodes are coming up, you can watch it, and continue to support Italian horror cinema.